Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Giovia Financial Credit Union, along with Denisha Boston Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand Marketing and Digital Agency.
We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview some of the top business leaders in the industry.
And I'm very excited because we have a returning guest for Tower Talk Business Radio. And this is part 2 of our discussions with George Pickney Jr. He's the CEO of Evolution of S&G and Senior Account Manager of Genesis Merchant Services. Those who didn't hear the part 1, George is a seasoned business professional in this arena, and his mission is to be the most professional, creative, and helpful private finance firm around. And he's here with us today with 2 of his interns, Johanza Blaze and Prekarn Singh, and we're going to discuss how they have the challenges of team building, what kind of challenges they've faced, how they've developed, how they've built their team, and also how they're approaching some of the challenges in the market, because in 2024, the challenges of the market are certainly there. They're certainly difficult, and bringing folks new into that industry, it's the timing is a little rough, but it's a good time also for them to learn. So let's talk a little bit about your team building efforts.
So when it comes to the team building effort, I'm very big into knowing the market and knowing what group of people I'm going after. My target market is business majors. Doesn't matter what branch of business major, you're a business major, I have an interest in you. If you have an interest in knowing how to do accounting work, financing work, marketing, advertising, sales, you name it, even contracting, because when they reach a certain point where they're, once you reach a certain point, you'll have to review contracts and things like that. So I cover all the bases when it came to at least trying to cover all the tracks.
And the great thing is there are so many resources available here at Nassau Community College, and you've approached students to help you build that workforce.
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about your experience with Nassau Community College?
My experience at Nassau Community College has been absolutely phenomenal. I treat it like the game of Monopoly, as I told Ms. Blaze. I first started with Professor Levine. He controls the internship department at Nassau Community College. Me and him have a great relationship. He's also now allowed me to speak in front of his classes, so that's also helped a lot. Also, of course, meeting you, Ray, having radio talk with you was going well. Also, I'm getting ready to start working with another professor. I think she controls the whole business department. So things for me when it comes to this institution is changing every, let's say, 2 to 3 months. So the fact that, I've been able to build relationships and I'm putting their students in the best position going forward to dominate. I don't expect their students to just come in like, okay, I didn't know. Make history. Don't be history. And these people sitting next to me, they made history. They're the first students from this institution to get deals funded consecutively. So I'm proud of that.
And that's something to be proud of, because we have to pass along our experiences to the next generation so that they can learn from them. Hopefully not repeat the same mistakes we made.
I heard that.
Hopefully they can develop. And also the great thing is that, we as seasoned professionals, we're learning from the new folks, from Gen Z and Gen Alpha, on how they like to do things, because that's really important to us, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah, I was going to say, and it sounds like you have a great program and a system in place. So how are you pulling up, pulling people in? How are you helping them understand that you're laying the foundation for them to be successful and you're helping them open doors to their future?
It's something that a guy who helps me train them in the beginning before they even come in the office. It's something that this generation says they keep receipts. So they're able to go back and look at previous interns from this institution and other institutions and see the success rate. Like, okay, this is legit. Like this young lady, she spoke to my first female intern who now works in New York City in the mayor's office.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, my first intern, I don't think they ever met. I helped him take over his family's company. So I have a very, very great track record. And that kind of speaks for itself. And now they're part of that legacy. It's no longer just about what I'm doing. I'm building a legacy. So it's going to reach a point where my name is going to get there before I even show up. And I'm proud of that. But I'm mostly proud of the young people who believed in my dream, because it's not about how much hard work you put in. It's just finding someone who's like, you know what? I believe in you. And I guarantee everything that I say I'm going to give to them, not just in the present, but in the future. Hope that answers your question, Vince.
Definitely. Now, there are doors that you're opening for these students. Is this a program that you could perhaps replicate elsewhere?
Absolutely. Actually, a gentleman actually reached out to me about it. Mm-hmm. He actually wants to sit down and talk to me about, because he runs a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm having challenges trying to bring talent in. And I was like, well, let's sit down and let's figure out where it makes sense financially for me. Mm-hmm. Because now I have value. It's something that I did in a speaking event at Nassau Community College. Everybody wants a network. Everybody wants a network, but they don't have no net worth. Now I have net worth. So now I have the ability to sit down and be like, this is what I need to bring in the talent that you need. Now, here's the thing. Don't make promises that you can't deliver on.
Yeah. That you don't want to do that. You want
No, not at all.
Set the expectation and create that proper expectation. Going to Johanza and going to Pri Singh, want to talk with you about how you're seeing these experiences and how you got recruited and how you kind of found yourself in this position and how you felt and how you began and how you dealt with that. Let's go into your own individual journey there as an NCC student who now you're meeting George and you're discussing that. Take me through that experience, how you felt, what you did, and how you progressed. So we'll start with Johanza. Ladies first.
So how I started initially was Professor Levine. He sent out an email, asking everybody to submit their resumes for internships. I submitted mine, and I want to say a couple of days later, George reached out to me because he received my resume, and we first had a phone call, then it was a Zoom call, then the next minute I was actually inside the office with him having a interview. And like I said in part one, I struggled in the beginning, and I didn't think I belonged there because of how challenging it was. So that was my initial emotions. It's like, I'm probably not supposed to be here. But like I said earlier, he pushed me to keep going. So, and ever since, I stuck through and I didn't turn back.
So my story is almost similar to Joanza. Before I registered for the internship program, I saw a lot of flyers. Around the business buildings and things like that. So I sort of comprehended it a little while ago, but then again, I got an email from Professor Levine, and I was like, you know what? Internships are important. Let me take it. So I sent my resume in, and he sent it out, and George was the first to call. I guess he beat everybody to it. So I went in. We initially spoke on a phone call just to get to know each other a little bit, and then I had a Zoom interview with George, and he liked everything about me, and I liked what I was hearing from him. And I actually came down the same day on my during my Zoom call to check out the office. And I was fortunate enough to meet the owner of the company, co-owner of the company, Andrew Stevens. So me and him had a great conversation about his experiences in the industry, what type of work I'm getting myself into, and I just really liked what I heard, and I haven't looked back since.
Now, Nassau Community College has always been, but what I'm seeing and I like is that there's different areas that are developing to help small business. So we have the work that you're doing, George, with your interns here, working with small business and working with financing. We have an MWBE center in the C cluster now. So we have a resource for business owners to go to and to learn about the MWBE process, how to get that contracting work. So we're kind of covering financing. We're kind of covering how to get work. And then on top of that, we also have a Business Leaders Council, folks who are advising business owners and working together to help raise funds for scholarships for students. There's really a lot. You're a part of something that's really growing at Nassau Community College to help small business. Wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to those areas of the college because all of that is very important. And it's, look, we got to do this together, right? I mean, if we're talking about team building, we got to mention the whole team.
We got, right?
Yes, absolutely. Now, there are a lot of challenges in the marketplace right now. So, it's funny. You would think that, it's kind of like when businesses started out during COVID. That's the worst time to start a business, you would think. But actually, maybe not. So tell us a little bit. I guess we'll start, George. Let's start with you from your vantage point, and then we'll pivot and talk with our intern friends here. How did you feel about starting working with students and trying to teach them how to do this work in such a tumultuous market?
How did I feel about it?
Tough questions, right?
And no, honestly, Ray, I was excited for the challenge. I really was. Like, I got into the business when it was in the middle of COVID. And I was sitting at home one day and I said to myself, there's no way I can run this rat race by myself. How can I bring people closer to what we do? And I shot my shot. And then each person that kept coming in, they kept believing. I set missions on them. I had assignments for them to do. Now, yes, the market is extremely aggressively challenging, especially in the financial space. It's what's happening now is people either have good credit but low revenue, great revenue, bad credit, or they have some past history. So we're constantly dealing with obstacles. But you know what? If it was easy, everybody be making money, things would be too good. And then people saying it's too good to be true. So the fact that they're coming into a challenging time, I'm grateful for that. I truly am grateful for that because that's real life. Like business is a roller coaster. Just be grateful you got someone who's willing to be on the front. Be like, all right, this is coming. As I teach this new team coming in, focus on being proactive, not reactive. Because I feel like that's happening a lot in society now. People are waiting for things to come instead of seeing it coming and going at it. So I tell them, attack. Because there's another person like you who's in their seat right now that's hungry, that's starving, and they're going to give it everything they got and some. But it starts with the leader. This team only goes as hard as its leader. And I'm very grateful for them to look at me as their leader. So I owe that to not just them sitting next to me, but the ones who came before me.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is George Pickney Jr., CEO, Evolution of S&G Senior Account Manager of Guinness Merchant Services. My name is Danisha Boston Hill, along with Ray Schwetz on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
So I'd like to kind of pivot and now talk back with your interns, Johanza and Precinct. So kind of same question for you. Johanza, how are you dealing with these challenges in the market? Again, learning what you're learning and you're dealing with such challenges. How are you dealing with those challenges in the marketplace that business owners are bringing up or that you feel might be working against you?
Just goes back to being persistent and not being discouraged.
Yep. Just keeping on what is important to the person that you're speaking with and being persistent with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. So it's actually a difficult question because you just show up every day, because there's going to be good days and bad days. Just making sure that you put your best foot forward every day because like George said, there's people out there who are also hungry. So you can't let your guard down ever. So you have to keep pushing every day. So the market's not the best, but we're still fighting. So
yep, you show up for your team. You show up for the people who need you.
Exactly.
And I love that point. That is something that I often say to my teammates because they'll say to me, "Oh, you know what? What do you do, Ray? How do you take care of this?" And the answer is sometimes I'm not exactly sure, but you know what? The first thing is you got to show up.
Exactly. 100%.
And then you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to do the work. There's no magic to it.
Exactly.
Yep.
100%.
So I love that. Very good. How about you, Precinct?
So some of the challenges in the market, and I really want to pivot back to what George was saying, the people who are interested in financing in our services, one, if they have great revenue, they have low credit. Or if they have low revenue, they have great credit. And another major factor of what sort of hurdles the process is business owners take out financing but they have difficulty paying it sometimes. And now we're in a market and timeline where even a adjusted payment technically counts as a default for some great tier lenders.
Oof.
So you're at a high risk, even if you adjusted your payment, because they're not sure they could recoup their money and they don't want to go down that route. And it's just trends that you notice within different sort of industries. Like a business owner gives out an invoice, he's expected to be paid certain time down the road, but he's not. He's not paid. He can't keep up with operation expense, payroll. So we have a lot of clients who are struggling to basically just take care of operating expenses, payroll expenses, and they're very stressed out in that regard. And where we come in is, I could potentially help you, but I can't guarantee it. So one thing that I really learned from George was save your own behind first. Mm-hmm. Don't make a commitment to a client and it doesn't go the way that they want it, and now they're mad at you and they're saying, you promised me X, Y, and Z. So I can definitely take a look at your file. I can definitely try my best to get you the best deal out there, even to get you a deal, but I can't guarantee anything. So we're at a very challenging time in the market where it's just high rates are just not incentivizing for business owners anymore. So we really have to explain on how to strategize your financing. Okay, you can take the high interest, but we'll put you on a plan to wash it out in 6 months because we don't want you paying that much. And it gives us the opportunity to retain that client and to do business with them for in the future to come, because we don't want to just close a deal and forget about you. We want you to be on a long-term program as well. That way you don't have to take out these small loans.
What's the difference between what you guys do and what you're learning and some of those other, lenders out there? You get a lot of cold calls as a small business owner. What helps you break through?
So what helps, the thing that our clients appreciate us the most is our transparency. Other lenders will promise you all the above. I can do this, I can do that, send me everything over. And we don't work that way because it needs to make sense for us and the client, because we don't want to waste our time and yours. And you'll hear these horror stories. We hear it all the time. These other firms, these other companies, they're very sneaky. They'll slip something in a contract where it doesn't matter if you take the deal or it doesn't go through, you pay me a few $100 or $1,000. We don't work that way. Our services are completely free to show you what you qualify for, and we don't pull on your credit at all. So that's what business owners appreciate about us, and that's how we're different from the industry.
Well, it's important as you're building the team, you want to show the business owner that, that's what you're bringing to the table. You're bringing to the table a team that will help them and become part of, they're part of your team, really. You're bringing them on board and you're saying to them, well, hey, look, this is what we can do together. And if you want to move forward, we can move forward with that. Now, George, I want to pivot back to you and talk with you a little bit about building that team externally. Because, for example, like I'm a banker, I work with Jovia. Denisha's done events planning and work and works with nonprofits. And when we get together, we do so much more. We make such a bigger impact. And for you and what you do, there's so many external folks that you're dealing with, not just the client per se, but also other business advisors like accountants, attorneys.
Oh, yeah.
And there's ways to get the news out, who you are and what you do. So can you talk a little bit about some of the external partners that you have on your team or that you're bringing into your team or that you'd like to bring on your team?
Ray. First person is he's an intern who just graduated, a former intern of mine just graduated. He handles all my editing and all my Instagram videos. He's helped me actually bring in new opportunities. I have also a young woman who's my sister who develops my logo designs and everything. I have another gentleman by the name of Jordan who's also creating a personal website for me as well. Wow, my network is expanding. I met with a gentleman last night who just got back from London. We have to have a meeting about we're doing a networking event we're hosting. I have to have him sit down because he specializes in life insurances, things like that. I'm meeting with someone who does business grants. So I'm definitely expanding the evolution of S&G for not just me, but for future interns. Because yes, there's a lot more I want to offer than just business funding. I want them to feel like, wow, like this is a one-stop shop for multiple opportunities.
And so what would be your client wish list?
My client wish list. My client wish list is to get clients what they need, not what they want.
Not what they need, what they want. And why is that? It's because there's the perceived needs, and there's...
Yeah, because sometimes when you deliver the first time, they think you can work miracles, and that's not always the case. So I try to be very direct and not set myself up, because they're going to hold on to some of these clients will actually hold on to things that you can't deliver versus things that you're more confident in. So I try to just flat line, get to the bottom line as quick as possible. This is what I can do with what you're telling me. Now, if something else comes up, that's going to adjust. And then that's when the real comes out. Well, I need to let you know about this that came up. Okay. So now we got to make some adjustments and everything.
Now, I think what Tanisha was also trying to get to is, are there any maybe industries or specific clients that you go, oh, you know what? I want to work with them, or I want to work with that type of business.
My first client, Nova, who has a body shop in Oregon, she's just phenomenal. We have a very great relationship. We've been speaking to each other the last couple of years, and she's in a situation, she needs about $20K, and she ran into some tax problems. She's like, George, I need, and I'm like, wow, I really wish I can deliver on this one. Mm-hmm. So that's, to answer your question, that's my wish list, to get her what she needs. And I have another woman upstate as well who's also looking for something as well.
And what type of partners would you like to be working more with? Because I'm sure that there are
hedge funders. My personal goal is to work with people who I can actually sit down and say, hey, listen, let's review this. How much are you willing to put on the table? And you determine the pay structure, the interest rate. That is my goal for the next year or so, to target someone of that caliber, which is ironic because that kind of happened last night at dinner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little about that connection and how that all worked out.
Pretty much I was working last night because I do a little private security work, and I met with a gentleman and everything, and he said, he's very big into the whole finance world, but he does on an international level. And I said, listen, you know what? You obviously want to do something small. I have a few people maybe I can put something together with. And he was like, well, how would it work? I said, well, we have to sit down and review it, and you determine how much you want to put up and how quickly you want the return to be. He was like, can we do it in 30 days? I said, that's a bit unrealistic. Let's stretch it out maybe 3 to 6 months, and we'll put it at more of a reasonable interest rate. And he was like, okay, so next Wednesday, we're going to have dinner, and I'm going to discuss with him on how I can bring him into that space. That was one of my goals I was reaching for when I first started this journey, and obviously God delivered it.
Yep, and we're almost there. And look, other hedge fund folks, if you're listening, George is your person to talk to.
I'm the guy to talk to.
So, Johanza and Precinct, how about yourself? Are there any folks that you would like to connect with personally? Attorneys, accountants, any type of industry that you're looking for? Sky's the limit.
So I would definitely like to connect with bankers, just to sort of feel about how their experiences with their career, because I want to get into investment banking. So I feel like it would be a great opportunity for me to delegate with bankers of vast positions, because connections are key. Networking is key. So I'd really want to dive in and just make my presence aware within the finance world as much as I can, so that way it opens up opportunities for me down the road.
Excellent. So, Precinct, let's do lunch.
Absolutely.
Johanza, how about you?
Even though we don't fund nonprofits, I actually would like to get in contact with nonprofits, being that I do my ultimate goal is to help people. So I feel like that would be a very good start. Nonprofits. How
can people find you?
I do have an Instagram at Joanza Blaze. That's really it.
Same thing. You guys can check me out on Instagram. It's preetkarn.sing. I'm a private account. Shoot me a follow, and if I feel like you're doing great work, and I'll give you a follow back. And you can also check me out on Evolution of S&G on Instagram and Genesis Merchant Services on Instagram, and you can see the great work that we all do.
And George, bringing it back to you, bringing it home.
All right, let's do it.
So how can folks find you and connect with you?
Well, how they can find me, of course, is at genesismerchantservices.com. You can also reach me on the evolution _of SG. That's my business Instagram, and also the Genesis Merchant Services Instagram, where they can get in contact with me for an internship. They can also get in contact with us for funding. So, yeah, there's multiple ways. I'm not hard to find, and also I'm going to be on campus a lot going forward and everything. So I'm going to be interacting with a lot of the business students, a lot of the business professors to really expand my network.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think it's a great opportunity for people to learn from you, George.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And so we'll leave you with DB's philosophy today. We're true believers that teamwork makes the dream work.
It certainly does. So we want to thank you for being with us. Jahanza, Precinct, George, thank you again for joining us on today's show.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Denisha Boston Hill, your co-host and producers. Visit nccradio.org for more information. We're available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.